Stream cannot try again. In stream? No, I'm on a stream. I don't know if I'm live on YouTube or not. It says I am. So just giving it a few seconds. Yeah. All right. There we go. It's been a fun morning. Just have to say, a fun morning. Coming to the end of my coffee here. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. There is, as per usual. Oh, look at that. I skipped 2 pages. How did that happen? Oh, wow. Anyways, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me this morning. Yeah, I think things are just getting more out of control. But yet that's for the betterment of the world. So the more out of control we get, you got to remember that the more extremes it gets, the more clearing is getting done. The more clearing that gets done, the betterment of the world happens. That's the way you got to look at it. Things are changing, and our world is changing in a rapid, new and wondrous ways. And this is really, I mean, April 1st, we have Venus, conjuncting the North Node. We have a lot of shifting, changing events. Um, if you have a lot of investments, I'd really start really paying attention to your investments, because you're going to start seeing the stock market go really radical, with some drops in that. I'm not a financial investor. I'm just going by what's happening. So it's really looking at, hey, Dana, long-term investments. So what are your long-term investments, and what do they look like? If you have anything like, I'm worried about people who have investments in pensions. That's what keeps coming up. So people with investments in pensions, I'm not sure exactly all what that means, but like I know like a teacher's pension and stuff like that, they have them invested in different stocks and stuff. And I feel like there's going to be some really crazy events that happen with pensions, and people not being on the positive side of them if they're not paying attention with them, and how they're going to be shifting. So there's some radical shifts that are going to be happening there. And we know it's not going to stay down. We know it's going to rise. It's going to be really fluctuating all over the place. I predict gold is going to go up even higher, which is even crazier. So we have a lot of influx that's coming in. If you are planning any air travel, I would just, over the next little while, I'd really pay attention to it, because there's going to be a lot of turbulence. There's going to be a lot of technology issues and things along that line when it comes to air travel, issues with the ocean and the sea. Um, Either cyclone warnings, hurricane warnings, things like that are going to be coming up quite a bit over the next little while. So it's all these rough seas that are coming in, and it's bringing in where people are going to have to look at unresolved issues. You're going to have to look at things that are difficult, maybe within a relationship that you've had issues with, or you have not been resolving anything within relationships. So this is like bringing things really up to the surface. If you're not paying any attention to it, if you keep shoving it underneath the carpet. So this is where it's like, especially with Venus going back into Pisces, we have Saturn in Pisces. And this is about putting in a lot of things out of control and trying to get control out of it. Saturn's been trying to get control over things over the last couple years. Being in Pisces, it wants that control. It wants to have those boundaries. And it's feeling very erratic. And especially as it's coming to the anaretic degrees, the ending degrees is at 23 degrees in Pisces. So it's coming to those world points. And it will, in May, is it May? Go into Aries. So we have that going into Aries, and I'm getting mixed up with Uranus, and Uranus going into Gemini later on this year. So this is like critical energies that are coming in. Neptune is already there in Aries. So this is mind games. that are going to be coming in. So a lot more about mind games, looking at especially when it comes to politics, because this is all at those degrees when it comes to the world and the political scene and things being exposed. A lot of exposure of political parties, political uh running people who are running for office or people who are in office. So a lot of things coming out and to the forefront. So we're going to be starting to see a lot of more things coming to the forefront. And I find it's like there's a lot of wanting people to control people, to have them believe in a certain way. Like, you believe this. Now, we've seen this in the past. We've seen it in the past 5 years. If you don't, if if you don't do what I say, you're the bad person. Or if you don't believe what I say, then you're a whatever, you're a fascist, Marxist, whatever. That word is being thrown around without people actually understanding or knowing the true meaning of what the word is. So this is really a time where everything is coming in, and it feels like vice grips. It feels overwhelming. It feels like things are really out of control. And Mars at 23 degrees, again, it's in everything to do with home and family and want to feeling that security, wanting to feel good. And Mars is like ramping things up because our home and security are not feeling like home and security, right? It's feeling very different. Charlene, you changed your name. Char 33. Oh, you're funny. So this is changing things, really out of control, and things to do with security, home, finances. You're going to start seeing craziness when it comes to the housing market even more. So the housing market, so if you're buying a house or you're in a house, when it comes to mortgage rates, things like that, you're going to start seeing some really crazy things that are going to be happening in that sector as well. And um that's really going to be where things aren't going to go as fast as what people would like them to go, especially when it comes to the housing market. We just saw an old school, and it was I can't remember. Anyways, you can see it when you go along Crowchild. And it's been knocked down, and a whole new community is going to be built in there. And this school was used for upgrading and things like that. It was, I guess, a high school, and so it was used sort of like an offshoot for Mount Royal and different universe and the university for doing some upgrading for people. And it's going down. It's going to go down, right? So this is where things, people are going to start. Viscount Bennett, thank you, thank you. So Viscount Bennett, being knocked down. Plus, there's another just up from Mount Royal College in the back there. There's this great big park, and it's been these signs have been proposals, and people signed petitions and stuff to not have this new complex being built. But of course, the city said, "Yeah, okay, that's nice, thank you. We allowed you to have your voice, but we've allowed you to have your voice, and doesn't matter." So these these things are coming out, and people are going to be starting to get more frustrated. We're going to start seeing a lot more of the corruption coming into our face. They're having issues right now in France with the opposition party, and with a new prime minister coming in, or president coming in France. Their politics, it just doesn't make any fucking sense to me, because Macron wasn't supposed to win, but he's not letting go of his power or whatever. But a young, quite ambitious young man is going to step in and start taking over of the opposition party. I think he's 29, so he's in his Saturn return. So that should be proving very, very interesting in that, and on that political scenes, because he has some really radical viewpoints, and he's really one who doesn't follow the WEF. He's not in that kind of forum. So, which is very interesting and has some interesting viewpoints when it comes to immigration for France. So just in that round too, we're going to start seeing some really crazy, so changing of regimes, changing of powers is really a big at the forefront. That's coming in as well. And I just get a lot of exposure coming in. And with Neptune coming into Aries, so things coming in and people getting hot headed. So you really got to watch out for temperaments. Temperaments is really big. People saying things off the cuff, people saying things that um, could be detrimental to them or detrimental to the other person. So really watching your words and watching what you're saying right now is really um, crucial. As we're going, here, I'm looking over at my calendar over here. As we're going into tomorrow's April 1st, rabbit. So there's a lot when it comes to with the stock market, with Venus being in Pisces, still retrograde, coming up with the North Node, Rahu. That means that there's going to be some just when it comes to relationships, even when it comes to the war front. So more on the war front is going to be coming forward this week, and many of the major ups and downs. Now I skipped a few pages here. And with Mars coming in at 23 degrees, going to be going into Leo. So with this turbulence of the war, with this turbulence of a lot of these changes that are coming in, we really have to make sure, again, this is what I'm going to say, you got to make sure you're grounded, got to make sure, if you do start saying things off the cuff, try to cut, clear, delete, get the fear out of here. Why am I saying that? Why am I doing that? And it doesn't matter if it's like, a good relationship, bad relationship. I got more if you've had trouble within a relationship, that's more going to come in to the turbulence more say than if you've had a relationship that's been you've been doing pretty good right now. So a lot of expressing concerns on the forefront, expressing concerns about love, expressing concerns of home, family keeps coming in, a lot to do with the family, um and perseverance when it comes to family values and morals. So we're going to be feeling or witnessing a lot of that coming in. The moon's in a good place. The moon's in Taurus, so moon is exalted. It loves to be in Taurus because it's steady. It's here I am. And it can allow itself to be seen. So the moon's in quite a nice place, and it feels like, yeah, I feel good. I feel, I can grab into that groundedness, which is really nice with all of that. It's just that endings and beginnings that we're going through right now with, with Venus, with Mercury, with, of course, Saturn there, all in the Pisces energy. I just get there's going to be some real craziness when it comes to more with the weather and extremes when it comes to weather and, things along that line. Yeah, baby. It's crazy out there again, and it's going to still continue to be crazy for some time. And do your gratitudes. Make sure you're doing your gratitudes. Make sure you're really looking at the positiveness that you do have in your life, the little triumphs that you can focus on. Try not to really focus on a lot of the nutters that are out there. We're starting to see a lot of the craziness of the Tesla stuff coming into Canada, and people freaking out at Tesla dealerships, destroying the dealerships, breaking the glass, destroying vehicles. It's like it's where, again, it's about control. We don't like you driving that because we don't like whatever Elon is doing. And Elon doesn't even own a big part of the shares anymore. It's BlackRock and others who own a bigger part of the shares in Tesla. It's not Elon. Elon sold off a lot of his shares a long time ago. And that's so he was able to do other things, other explorations that he's interested in. And people, it's like, again, exposure of the truth. People don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear what's really going on. They don't like it, right? It's like, the circus act that's running right now. um One of his members of parliament, is wanting somebody else to be handed over to a foreign country and be killed. Like, we saw that too with a member of Congress down in the United States said the same thing. She wanted Elon served to her on, like, it's almost like John the Baptist, the story of John the Baptist. And John the Baptist called the king out because he was like laying with his sister, and which is a sin. Like, it's not a good thing to be having a courtess with your sister. And so he called him out, and she didn't like that, but it was funny because the king, I think it was Herod at the time, I think they're all Herod, but anyways, he um he was interested in John. Like, he was listening to some of the things that John was saying. So he was like putting this bug in his ear, but the queen didn't like that. And so he had, I guess, his daughter, did this dance, this beautiful dance, and everybody was so happy with her and so happy with her, and they're all like cheering her on. And of course he says, "Whatever you want, I will give you whatever you want." And she said, "I want John the Baptist's head on a platter." That's what it started. This is reminding me of. I want, because I don't like what he's saying, even though he's saying the truth and exposing the truth of things. I would rather have him dead. And that's exactly what it is. People would rather have that person dead than hear any more of that truth, because I don't want to hear the truth, because then I'm going to look bad. I'm going to look like a bad person. And in fact, you are being a bad person. You are doing wrong things. And it's time to own up to those wrong things. It's time to take that ownership of what you've done wrong, and the things you know that have halted you from stepping into who you truly are and that beauty of who you are. But people want to go at him. And it's the same thing as when I see people say, "Oh, I want to, I believe in curses," or "I believe in um wanting to curse somebody." And I think about that, and I'm just thinking, like, when people say that, and even with the queen there who wanted John the Baptist's head, it's like, that's envy. I mean, that's that envy. And when people want to curse or want to do harm upon somebody else, it's like you want that person to have it, or do it. Like, you want that, whatever they want, or they you want them to have pain. You want them to have some kind of pain. And that's the thing, is like, so many people want other people to have the pain. I want you to have this pain because I can't have what you have. I can't do what you're doing. So if I can't do it, if I can't have it, you can't have it either. So fuck you. I'm going to make you pay for it. And I've seen it, and this is one of the reasons why I really am drawing back from, certain communities, because I don't want to be a part of that. I don't. I don't want to be part of that negativity and that evil. And they could justify it. I mean, because the devil does. He justifies whatever he wants to do in the name of whatever, and make it look good. And that's why all this chaos is happening in the world, is because they want you to fall into this chaos. They want you to fall into this craziness, because if you fall into this craziness, and that, I can control you. I can make sure you are playing in this field and you can't play in any other field, because I just want you in this field. And this is, I mean, I think the heart of all sin is a rejection of the divine, is rejecting that glory, of that pool of what wants to give you something more. But people don't want you to have that more. They don't want you to have that glory. And this is where, for us at this time, and for all who listen to this, hear this, so like, share, do all of that kind of stuff, right? With this, um it's a purpose to walk in love and focus on the good, Focus on the good in your life. Focus on the little positive things that are going on in your life. It'd be like, okay, maybe avocados are too expensive, but you can get an avocado if you really wanted one, right? That's a good thing. So, changing your focus is going to be so important. And this is where we're going to be finding to pivot in many different ways. People are going to stop you from doing what you want to do better. They don't want you to do it. They don't want you to drive the Tesla, even though you paid your fucking hard money to get the goddamn Tesla. Whether you like it or not, doesn't matter, right? You might not like me driving a 2002 Nissan Xterra. It's like, oh, look at that. She's driving a big hog down the road. Well, yeah, it is a big hog, but it's my big hog, and I didn't have to pay for it. Right? So I'm rejoicing in that. But if people don't like it, that's on them, right? And that's where we're at, and that's where people are going to be saying things off the cuff. People are going to be being assholes, right? And this is where people are going to say are going to be really retarded in all of this. I'm using all the adjectives. I'm using all the words I shouldn't be using. But this is where we have to come into a trust. We have to come into a love of thyself. And when we could do that, we can stand in our light and shine it. And it's in the turbulence, and especially as we're coming into more war. I mean, this is a year for war. This is, it's on the side, with astrology, every type of astrology has all pointed this year to war. Many astrologers don't want to talk about it. They want to make it fluffy. They want to make it, whatever, or call it something different. They don't want to say those words. I will say the words. It is war. This is a year that things are going to explode. And in many different ways. Maybe not here in Canada. Maybe we're not going to have it here on our land, but we might have it, in the northern parts. It might be up in the Arctic Circle, in areas that we've never had it before. So we're going to have it in different areas, that we've never had it before. April 2nd, we're going to see what's going to happen, and where people are really going to start freaking out with these tariffs, and start looking at, what's going on with these tariffs. My son was saying that they've done huge orders with the company that he's at, Flowcore, and they do pipelines and they do warehouses and all kinds of stuff. I don't know, they do that kind of stuff. But they've ordered and they're a Canadian company, so they've ordered massive inventory. I'm waiting for a lot of this inventory. A lot came in. A lot more is supposed to be coming in before the 2nd. But they're trying to make sure that they have enough inventory before, the tariffs hit in. And the tariffs, when they hit, they're gonna cause havoc. But are they going to also be a point where it's like, okay, if this is what's happening, and you look at other countries that have had a lot of anyways, like tariffs put on them and things put on them to not prosper. Look at some of those countries that we've always had tariffs, but not this strong per se. This is where it's like tariffs that are like right in our face. And that's one of the big things. I mean, yes, there's always been tariffs on many items, but this is where it's making a bigger to-do of it, and it's also because of Trump. There's a huge hating of Trump out there, and I feel like it's like you're hating somebody who wants their country to do better. That's like, a person going around and trying to better the neighborhood. And I've seen this before, where people have tried to better a neighborhood or clean it up. Oh, you stop doing that. We don't want you to do that. We don't want you to better the neighborhood. We don't want to make things clean. It's one of those crazy things. Would rather keep you down here because it's a hell of a lot better than if you try to excel and do better in this world. So be it. So be it. That's where we're at, baby. We got to find the peace. We got to find the peace. And that Neptune in Aries is just going to make people like, I feel like I just get craziness with Neptune in Aries. I mean, the only time when we can look at it, like especially being an outer planet, is the Civil War, right? The only time we can look at Pluto going into Aquarius is during the Revolutionary War and the writing of independence and the formation of the United States and the French Revolution. The only time we can look at, with the last, with Neptune or with Uranus going and changing into a sign, the last time, that happened was with Fukushima and the earthquake. So when it came in and we can see what happened with Fukushima, right? So this is where, when we're looking at different things changing, and then we can go further back with Uranus because it's only an 84-year cycle. That the last time it was in Gemini was World War II, and the United States entered World War II fully. And it was the bombing of Hiroshima during that time as well, when he was in Gemini. So it's these this is how with astrology, when you look at these different cycles and you look at them, and then you look at the world and what's going on, and you see these cycles play out. Yes, there's different aspects that are coming in, different trines and things like that are coming in. But when you look at them and you see, okay, well, this is what's happened before. How can this be different? Like, is there a difference here? Well, no, there is civil unrest. There are people, rising up. Anybody talking about what happened in Syria to all of those Christians that were killed and just slaughtered? And our government just sent over $100 million another millions of dollars, but up to $100 million they've sent to Syria, backing this new government, which this new government is no better than the last one, no better than the king that was ruling it, or the prince that was ruling Syria. He might have been an asshole or whatever, but he was trying to protect a lot of people. So there's pros and cons to everything, right? And he did, there's these, things that are happening up, or even in the Congo, where they just slaughtered close to 100 Christians in the Congo, a whole village with children and everything, just a whole slaughtering there. But nobody's talking about it. Nobody wants to see that. And these are the things. These are the things that are rumbling. These are the things that are going into the rumblings, into the consciousness of saying, this is wrong. We're not going to take this. We want to bring in, positivity. We want to bring in the morals, but through that chaos, through the dismantlement and the blood and the carnage, it's through that people start to say, wow, okay, how can, what can be different? How can we do this differently? Whoa, dog's on alert again. So if you're wanting to join me for the 21 days, I have part 1 and we're doing part 2 right now. So if you want to join us for part 1, start off with part 1 with the 21 days. It's all ready to go. You just have to upload it and I'll send it to you. It's $88. And then if you want to do part 1 and part 2, if you want to do the combo of them, I can, give you the both of them, part 1 and part 2 together, and I can give you a deal on that. So let me know if you're interested in that and doing that journey. And it's a meditations that you do each morning. So all right, let's pull a card. I've been shuffling like crazy. Let's see what's going on. Information. Things are going to come dramatically fast. Passion, information, things just flying down like flying. So lots coming in, a lot of information coming forth. And with that, yeah, it's going to make us feel stuck because we're not exactly moving to the place we want to move to. We got the information, it's sorting through the information, trying to bring forth the logic in it, trying to bring forth, okay, this is what is like, not just reacting on this passion or reacting on this emotion. This is where, okay, I got to sort through things. I can't just, you know, jump in and just take off. I got to methodically figure out what it is that I need to do and how I need to approach a certain situation. And with that, it's like, okay, yeah, it's going to take some time, and especially when it comes to the mundane, especially when it comes to things like money, and it's going to take some time for things to get going and get out there. But I feel like this is like, yeah, so looking at the highlights, the highlight those aspects of conversations or security to keep us trapped in a rigid mindset. So watch what kind of rigid mindset that you might be in, because there's information coming in that's wanting to trap you. Right? So what's trying to trap you to make you think this way? This could be due to ingrained beliefs we have or held. This is looking at what truly makes you happy. How are your relationships with the people you love? What are your long-term goals? So if you are wanting to make changes, if you're wanting to make something, it's like, this is my long-term goal. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I have to do the things I have to do. This is my guidance I'm receiving. I'm receiving guidance, listening to that guidance that I'm receiving. So this is like, you got to look at your own individual, because this is for everyone. This is one that is, for everyone, not for one. So this is like, although you know that change is inevitable and will likely lead to more positive route, you may still be experiencing attachments that you are not ready to let go of. So what are those attachments that you're not ready to let go of so that you can get it? So you might be rigid in those attachments. You're getting information. This is what you need to do, but you're like, oh, I can't do that yet because I got this, and this, right? Or I have to wait for certain things to come into play. So you are strong enough to navigate and face life's challenges at every turn. You got it. You got this, baby. Trust in God. He's got your back. Put your trust in the higher power. Don't put your trust in man. God forbid. Oh, we see what that does. Put your trust in a higher power and know that you're being led to something more gracious and more beautiful than anything else. So, and always call in Archangel Michael and the Divine Mother Mary to come through and protect you in everything that you do, because this is a time that we do definitely need to protect ourselves in all that we say and all that we be and all that we do. So, on that note, send you guys out with so much blessings. Have a great day, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Have a blessed one, everyone. Bye-bye.